Welcome to the Right Academy. I'm Matthew R. Miller. Today's April Fool's Day, so I thought I would do a video on the character of the trickster spirit or the trickster god. This is like an archetypal character in most of human literature across cultures, across time, whatever. It's good if you can use a trickster character in your book because it has a lot of advantages. I want to talk to you about this, about what these are, and how to use them, and why you should use them. Trickster spirits are gods. Okay, so first thing is that they are amoral, meaning they're not good, but they're not evil per se. They have no morals, or no morals that we as humans understand. They're chaotic. Okay? They're not orderly. They don't follow the rules. They do things for their own amusement, or to teach a moral lesson, or for no apparent reason. They like to put people, other characters, in difficult or impossible or even comical or even dangerous situations, even ridiculous situations. The trickster spirit is a part of nature. They're somehow connected to the natural world. They have ancient but unknown origins. They've been around forever. And they show that nature itself is chaotic, unpredictable, wild. This ancient literature where we start seeing these trickster archetypes, imagine, like I've said before, living in the caves, or living in ancient times and sitting around the fire at night telling stories. You don't have computers, so you tell stories. And outside the walls of the town or outside the cave, they're predators, they're scary things, there's darkness we can't see. And so we need to understand this. We need to understand this wildness of nature. Why are there storms? Why did a saber-toothed tiger eat Og last week? Or, things like this. It's chaotic. We need to understand it. And so they're a part of nature and the natural world. Trickster spirits sometimes will help people, sometimes harm people, sometimes totally destroy people. It seems completely arbitrary. They also sometimes go too far and have to kind of walk back what they've done or fix it somehow. They're feared and respected, but like I said, not evil per se as we understand evil. They are extremely wise, very intelligent, often possess secret knowledge of the ancients or of the gods that they may or may not try to reveal to us. They disobey rules. They disobey the norms of behavior. They are bound by nothing and no one but themselves. They often will teach a moral lesson to people, but in a reverse way. Or if they get themselves into a tricky situation, they'll get out of it in an extremely clever way. They are shapeshifters or masters of disguise. They are often considered messengers of the gods or messengers of nature. And they are very resourceful, extremely handy. They use anything and everything around them to solve problems or to get out of sticky situations. Here are some examples from literature, from history. If you like The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, there's the character in The Hobbit, Tom Bombadil, and he is a trickster spirit. He's of nature. There is Q from Star Trek. If you remember that character Q, who's like shows up out of nowhere, seems to be immortal, does whatever he wants, kind of trickster spirit. There's in the Middle Ages, the Green Man. This was this kind of a man often made of vines and branches looking out of the forest at people. And he also kind of exemplified, represented the wildness of nature. Loki, right? If you're fans of the superhero movies, Loki, the Norse trickster spirit. Also, Odin the Wanderer was a master of disguise and a trickster spirit. From French African tradition, Buki. From Southern U.S. tradition, Brer Rabbit. From Voodoo, Baron Samedi or Baron Samedi. From French history, Le Renard or the Fox. From generally, African, kind of like West African, you have Anansi, the spider storyteller. And you also have the God of the Bible, Yahweh. Now, I don't mean to offend anyone, and I'm not saying that's all Yahweh is, but there are some elements of that God that are trickster spirits too. Putting Abraham up to killing his own son, stopping up at the last minute, things like this. They are elements of trickster spirits. So as literature, he is a trickster spirit. I'm not saying that's all he is, but from a literary point of view. You have in the Chinese tradition, the Monkey King, Journey to the West. Hawaiian tradition, Polynesian, you have Maui. You have Puck from the Greek, kind of the idea of, from Shakespeare, of course, but based on nature spirits and satyrs from Greek history. You have Cocopelli among the Native Americans. So there's a ton of these. They appear in all stories, all literature throughout all of human history from everywhere in the world. So they represent something within us, don't they? Like we try to understand the world around us. We like to put things in boxes, black and white. It's more comfortable that way. But you know as well as I do that life doesn't work that way. You can be walking along, everything's going great, and all of a sudden something will happen and just kind of like destroy everything or completely change everything. That's reality. And so we have these characters, these trickster spirits as characters to understand the world around us. Now, if you are writing a book or a story, especially a full-length novel, you should absolutely try to include a trickster spirit. Here's why. First of all, this trickster will put your other characters, your main characters, in situations that they have to get out of. And that's what makes conflict. That's what makes a story. That's what makes a story interesting to readers. If everything goes perfect the entire book, that's boring. It's not real. The trickster spirits entertain the reader. They serve as a form of comic relief at times. They make your work, your story feel deep and ancient. There's this connection to this ancient idea, and they make your book feel deep. They make the reader uncomfortable. And I believe art, in addition to just being beautiful, should also disturb. It should also provoke. It should make people think about things, challenge their preconceptions. And these trickster spirits do this because the reader wants everything to be black and white, nicely solved, tied up, wrapped up in the end. But the trickster is this chaotic force from outside that unsettles the reader. And then they often can serve the purpose of creating conflict, or in the hero's journey, the call to the journey, the inciting incident, things like this. They can serve some of these things you want to include in your story, but you're not sure how to do it. Put in a trickster spirit. They don't even have to be a main character. They can just be someone who, they can be a human. They don't have to be a god or a spirit who just shakes things up, rattle things up. Trickster spirits are very important. In my work, in my Gravedigger series, which is the story of a punk rock band who keep encountering supernatural things, it's a 7-part series. In number 4, which has to do with goblins, it's called Paranoid, a punk rock goblin story. There is a trickster spirit based on the Green Man motif from the Middle Ages in Europe. So anyway, there's your trickster spirit. Be sure to use them. Be sure to learn about them. They will greatly improve your writing. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'm Matthew R. Miller. You're watching the Write Right Academy.